All right, let's welcome to the stage, RB Adam. Woo! This feels like a celebrity game show run-on a little bit. Our first contestant. All right, coming up next, you definitely know his name, Zug CG Arseny. Come on down to the stage. Oh, this is good. I'm excited that people still have energy at this hour. All right, the newest member of the team. He doesn't lack in knowledge, even though he's new. Mahesh, come on down. Unholy cowboy. And finally, the moment you've all been waiting for, Sorkis himself. Sorkis, come on down. Where was the Imperial March when he came in? No, that's not important. Okay. Thank you guys so much for joining us. Should we say hello in the mics just to make sure we are all on?
Hello. Hello, hello.
All right, good, good. We're working.
Hello. Hello, everyone. Hi.
Great. Thank you so much. Okay, folks, like I mentioned, these questions are online. We got submissions for everyone. The four categories that we were trying to convey were studio, web, client, and platform. So all these folks up here should hopefully represent those categories. There's a lot of cross-representation up here on purpose, as some of these questions might be going into different categories. But without further ado, since we don't have a ton of time, I'm going to go ahead and just start these off. To try to keep it more organic this year, we didn't really pre-assign them. So hopefully we get volunteers to answer these questions, or we're going to be sitting with a lot of awkward silence. Cool. So let's just start off at the top there. This is in theory a studio question, but let's just ask it. Start off with an easy one. Will there be options in the future that will enable effects for UI creators? For instance, CSS, drop shadow, border radius, border types, etc.
Am I taking that? Yeah, we have discussed this internally. This is something we absolutely have to do. The question is whether it's CSS or it's something our own custom format, right? But we will definitely be doing this.
Cool. Do we have an ETA? We'll just say soon.
I would say soon TM.
Great. Perfection. All right. Good. Good to see. We got some energy out there. All right. This question, actually, I'm going to assume this one is actually an Arseny question. What is the progress, we heard a little about this today, on The Future is Bright?
The future gets brighter every day. So I forgot if this was mentioned in sort of public keynotes, but we have multiple people working on this project for quite a bit now. It is hard. We have most of the first two stages done. So some things will be shipping very, very soon. And as Adam said, everything should ship by the end of the year. Fingers crossed.
Very good. All right. Let's jump over to a web question. And we're going to start with an easy one here. Will there ever be an official dark theme for the site? Gosh, a lot of dark theme.
Sorkis, what do you think?
Possible. So this is something there has been some discussion about. I wouldn't say like we have a decision on this necessarily speaking. For like a development environment, it makes it very clear that you need a dark theme, right? Like for example, this TV is kind of like in my eyes right now. But for a consumer product, usually it's light theme, but we have discussed this. It's possible, but no plans right now.
Great. Cool. Sticking to the web theme right now, this one's a good question here, as I try to not censor these. Why were the genres, i.e. action, comedy, adventure, horror, filters removed from the homepage, and are there any hopes of them coming back?
Yes. So there was different phases discussed. We understand that there has to be some sort of genres or tags that needs to be as part of the games. We had to remove them for several reasons. One of them was the layout, but we are investigating if we can have tags and labels as part of games that describe the games, and this will be added to the product sometime in the near future.
Yeah, we should say the old tags and labels were maybe not the best.
I can agree with Adam a little bit.
We can do better.
I think we can
collaborating with everyone.
I think we can do more than town and city and some of the other ones.
Naval.
Town and city, or just all. I think everyone was just all for the most part. Why limit yourself when you can be everything? Okay, jumping over to the client side. Are there any plans to create more realistic hitboxes for custom meshes and unions?
Yes, so the current system to generate collision geometry has not changed since we have shipped CSG, and this is what we use for mesh parts. We have revamped the CSG solver, right? And one of the following things, not this year probably, but probably next year, will be to improve the generation of the collision geometry. As part of this, maybe we will have more options to say, hey, I want way more accurate collision representation than I do get right now.
Great, cool. All right, moving over to platform questions here, as we're just going to kind of bounce around. Question for console, Xbox. Are there any plans to increase the social aspects of console play?
Social aspects as in like the friend graph?
Looks, we got IE as chatting of some kind.
Right, so I guess I'm a little confused by the question because we do have voice chat.
We do. Maybe they don't know.
Right, that's part of the product pretty much because it's one of the Microsoft requirements. So maybe that's talking about specifically for text chat, right? Most people don't want to type with their controllers. It's not an enjoyable experience.
Yeah.
But if you are that person who enjoys it, or you have a keyboard or stuff like that, we would love to hear from you.
Yeah. So there you go. We already made it more social. Voice is released. Okay. Let's jump back over to a studio question here. Is there a process that can be done to turn popular plugins into built-in studio features?
As in studio ships with popular plugins?
Yeah, more or less. Does the most popular plugin become a feature, I guess, is
This is definitely the future we are looking at. Basically, the technology we want to build is, in the long term, it's just whatever we are releasing, our tools and everything are just the same framework as the plugins that you guys will be developing. This is the future we want to go for. It's just a matter of time opening up Studio over a period of time.
Great. Cool. We got a lot of studio questions, so I'll ask another one here. Will there ever be a function that, after prompting a developer product purchase, checks to see if that purchase worked or did not succeed? Purchased or didn't purchase is how they phrased it.
So my understanding was you do get a receipt with the information on the purchase. So maybe the receipt is not good enough. I would love to talk to the person who asked this question. All
right. We can clarify. If you ask this question, come on down to the mic and we'll try to clarify what you were going for here. All right, let's jump over back to some web and interface stuff. Are there plans to expand user advertising on the website beyond the current sponsoring, skyscraper, and banner ads systems?
Okay. Yes. So the question is basically the skyscraper and the banner ads are what's called as intrusive ads, where it's clear it's an ad, it's taking up space on the layout. We want to create a much more consolidated ads framework, right? Much more closer to the modern products where the ads are just part of the experience. We did a piece of this, which is the sponsored ad system, but we want to do more of this, and we definitely want to expand this for capabilities like if you make a zombie game, you should be able to advertise to the players who like the zombie aspects of the game. So this is the future we're going for. It's just a matter of getting there. I do want to mention that it is possible that we will roll back on the banner and like the other ads simply because they're very intrusive for the players and create a much more seamless ads experience for them so they can choose.
Great. Cool. Awesome answer. All right. What do we have? Let's jump on over here. Okay, here's a generic question that I don't even know if we do. How does Roblox use machine learning? And if we do, what purpose does it serve?
So we are starting to use more and more machine learning. It's not something that's developer facing right now, but machine learning is becoming a really useful tool, as I think a lot of you have probably heard, for solving all kinds of interesting problems. So we're starting to apply some machine learning to our text filtering and to some other things we're doing.
Great, cool. All right, jumping over to client here. So we've talked a lot about mobile performance. In summary, what are some of the major steps we take to more efficiently handle things like large and complex maps on these devices? What's our strategy?
So there is a recording of my talk that will be available at some point after the conference that talked about some of this. The strategy generally is optimize everything that you possibly can. Try to use streaming. If streaming doesn't work, tell us why. We know there's like a lot of issues that we need to be fixing. Once we do, hopefully it will be just a no-brainer. And this is it, I suppose.
Cool, great. All right, let's talk about web again. Here's a funny one. Will there ever be an easier way to remove friends from your friend list? Someone is sad and wants to mass delete their friends, it seems.
Okay. I'm going to go with the short answer. Short answer, no.
Okay.
A little bit more detailed explanation. Generally speaking, we want to create a very powerful and strong social graph. So that means that we want to encourage people to make positive connections and not like encourage negative features like removing friendships. So this is the main reason that we don't necessarily enrich like you deleting your friends. In fact, another way to put it is there's no reason for you to delete a friend. We should be automatically be able to take care of that for you. Using machine learning, we should be able to figure out that they're lesser priority. You never talk to them and not show them to you, and that automatically kind of goes away. That will be the ideal world. Because like the way I used to describe this internally is, none of us in the real world walk up to each other and say, hey, I'm your friend. Hey, I'm your friend. And we shake hands, which is really what the friend request system is,
yes.
Right? And the system was introduced because of technical limitations. If Roblox can automatically figure out who your friends are, we wouldn't need to have you to actually do that friendship handshake. And that might be the future we want to go for.
Cool, awesome. Talking about players and games friends, let's jump over to this question. Are there any plans to allow developers to prompt players to join a group from in-game? Cool function.
Absolutely, yes.
Absolutely, yes. Cool.
So we are going to... There's a larger part, it's part of the larger discussion of like introducing discussions for groups, enriching groups with more features. It's something we have talked about for a very long time. The question is like the timing, right? So like we are going to do some parts in improving groups with Kelly's social team, and once those things kick in, we will be looking into enriching the group APIs. I see no reason not to.
Great. Cool. Here's a generic question. I'm not sure we have a good answer for this. Is there any way to have a complete client archive? I don't know if I understand what it's even asking. Does someone up here?
I suspect this question is asking if they can get old versions of the client. So that's not something we currently support. I know that people who are sufficiently motivated can find these things lurking in corners of the internet. If you want to take a nostalgia trip down memory lane, it's possible, yeah. So that's about it. But we're not going to officially support that.
You should start saving the current executables now. In 10 years, they will become priceless.
Oh, great advice. Can't wait to see that on the black market. All right. Will there be cell shading options for parts, mesh parts, union operations? They want the cell shading.
Yeah, so we plan to look into providing some sort of post effect that enables more cartoony look on the games. It probably won't go as far as having like cell shading of the quality that you would expect on, I suppose, anime games, but we plan to have something as a post effect.
Great, awesome. Okay, sticking to studio questions here. Question for Save Data. Are there any plans to introduce general compression algorithms for us to use to compress data for save files?
So we don't have a plan for this, but I do believe it's a reasonable ask. So whoever submitted that, actually, everyone who wants that, please communicate to our developer relations team and explain why you want it. Let's get some use cases put together.
Great, yeah. Cool, and we can help with that. Talk to Deepak or me or anyone after this from DevRel, and we'll work on getting it through. All right, here's a burning question they all have. When will new group functionality come out? Since the rest of the website has a much cleaner redesign, will the groups page receive any updates to improve that user experience as well?
I mean, short answer, yes, absolutely. It's just so typically a strategy we use to kind of like go through redesign pages is to look. It really goes by the impressions, how used the page is. Groups as a feature is highly used by a subsection of the players versus some of the other pages we have redesigned. It's just a matter of us getting to it. We absolutely want to improve the group's experience. You should be able to see some of these rolling out in the next year or so.
Cool. Cool. Sounds good. We are actually approaching the end. We got a couple more left here, but I want to remind folks, looks like we are going to have time for some live Q&A. So, actually, while we're talking about that real quick, you'll see in the middle there, Clone, want to raise your hand? He is sitting right behind the microphone that we're going to be using here. So, I'm going to ask one of our staff members to come join us. Oh, Kelly's already there. How awesome. And if you do have a question, come up only like a couple at a time. We're going to form a line behind Clone and Kelly. And we're going to have you guys be able to ask your questions. You're going to run through them real quick with Kelly, but only have a couple up there at a time because we don't want to just overrun people. But in the meantime, we're going to keep moving up here as we got a couple questions remaining. Client question. This one's going to get advanced here, so hopefully I can read this correctly and sound like I know what I'm talking about. Are there any plans to speed up the Lua interpreter? Even without JIT compilation, Lua JIT is 3x as performant. Could we get first-class support for statistically typed Lua or another statistically typed programming language?
So this is a very long question.
Yes.
So the answers are yes, we need to be looking into that. We cannot do Lua JIT on many platforms for many reasons. And there is probably a bunch of threads on dev forum where maybe I say why. We are planning to look into making the interpreter faster. It's not clear how much it will help on which types of games. And also we are thinking of other languages as well, but the motivation there is mainly not performance, it's usability.
Great, cool. All right, just a couple questions left here. Back to the studio. Could we get working breakpoints in test server mode?
Yes.
Great, solved. Check that one off the list. Will we ever be able to edit/change core GUI?
No.
Great.
But to clarify, just to extend on that answer, we will give you APIs to potentially customize various options of the core GUI, but we can never allow you to inject code into the core GUI simply because the reason core GUI exists is because it's secure. It's part of security.
Great. All right, we have 3 questions left here. Is anything being developed to make it easier for developers to show people that there's updates for their games, so no more of this new/update in the titles? Great question.
The answer is no, never. Actually, just kidding. So something is right around the corner. For those of you who attended the summer sneak preview, we are coming out with game update notifications very, very soon, actually over the next few weeks. So using this, developers will be able to reach their audience and publish game updates. And these are going to show up on the notification stream. And not just that, when basically, as part of the notification stream, we're going to see a play button embedded in the notification, and players can join the game right from the notification, directly by clicking on the play button. And not And shortly after, we're going to also be coming up with game update analytics. So we'll be able to see how many people follow a game, how many people view the notification, and how many people actually join the game from the notification. So stay tuned.
Awesome. Great. That was best answer yet. All right, final 2 questions, and they're a doozy. Are there plans to let Robloxians, these fine folks, use meshes to create hats and sell them on the catalog?
Yes.
All right, it's coming. It's coming. You've heard it here.
I can, if you.
Yeah.
So
more.
the vision, I think, like Grace touched on this on our keynote. The vision for us is to enable all sorts of creation, not just games. So like we want you to be able to create hats. We want you to be able to be marketing on Roblox, things like this. So we are going to slowly expand the feature set for you to be able to do these different skill sets.
Great. And the final question before we move to the audience, will Roblox ever be on the Nintendo Switch? No scopes.
Ever. Okay, if the question really depends on what Nintendo's criteria is, really. Like, I think like from a strategical perspective, we believe in being on every platform possible, but so it's just a matter of us executing and the priorities for us, but it really depends on whether Nintendo is open for a very creative product like Roblox.
Cool. So, yeah, so if your parent works at Nintendo, let us know. Anyway, all right. Moving on here. All right, let's jump to the audience. Kelly, do we have our first panelist ready, or our first developer ready?
Yes, we do.
Excellent. And the mic works. All right. Introduce yourself.
Hello,
And if you...
I'm Breza.
Oh, good.
I have
He
a
knows.
quick clarifying question, and then based on that, a user story question. So on the roadmap, we've seen, and we've all been excited by universe scripts. I just want to clarify, are these scripts that run at the game level? Is that what universe scripts are?
So they are running as an individual entity. So they could be running at a game level. It'll just be left to the developers to use creative ways. Think of it as like you're able to run code that's independent of the data model in a game.
And are they able to communicate with game servers?
Correct. They would be able to do that.
My specific use case is if players are in a guild and they want to chat with guild members that might be in different servers, would I be able to do that?
Short answer, yes. But there are certain caveats that we need to consider on the platform side in terms of enabling a chat, right? For the lack of like, just to kind of clarify, it looks like your use case is really like creating like a Discord-like chat application with using this framework, and technically it should be feasible for you to do that.
Thank you very much.
So yeah, earlier I think a similar question came up in the session as well. So in order to build this, we also have to build an event system where we let servers talk to each other, and they can be used for chat as well. So yes.
Thank you.
Cool. Awesome. Thank you, Breza.
Hello, this is a question for Sorkus, and I think you might already know what it is. So there are some designers in Roblox's community who have noticed that a bunch of shirts and pants are being copied by bots, and there's like a plagiarism problem. Are we aware of this, and do we have any plans to fix this in the near future?
I've never seen this. So I'm just kidding.
Sure.
Just joking. So I totally understand and acknowledge the rampant botting problem. It looks like you have a shirt and there is 20 copies of the same shirt created by bots. We are actively discussing what these options are because the solution is fairly complex, right? Like anybody should be able to make a black shirt, right? But if you make a more creative black shirt, you don't want anybody else to copy it, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. So this is where the solution is not trivial. At the same time, we want to keep our platform as open as possible. If you take a typical outside platform, they usually restrict the developers who are able to sell stuff, and this is how they kind of solve the problem. But we want to keep our platform as open as possible. We are discussing actively. We don't have like a slam dunk solution for this problem yet. But this is a problem that we absolutely have to solve because, as I mentioned, we want people to be able to create hats. We want people to be able to create shirts and pants and things like that in the near future.
Sounds good. Cool.
Great. Thank you, Clone Trooper. Once again, make sure to introduce your username as you ask your question.
Hi, I'm Pluton and I'm wondering about reflections, if there's going to be like an update to make them more accurate, like maybe stop using the skybox as a cube map.
So we have long-term desire to do this, but no short or medium-term plans to do this. This is one of the hardest problems in computer graphics. There is not a very good solution that adequately supports dynamic worlds, etc., etc., etc. So I think we will start doing some R&D on this in the next couple of years, but I wouldn't expect anything to ship in the next couple of years.
Thank you.
Cool. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Chad the Creator. So I have a question. Are you guys planning on adding like the ability to blend between skyboxes, or change the night sky, or apply a different color, or gradient to the default skybox?
So our big sky direction is moving more towards procedural skies rather than tactical features around skyboxes. So we're going to try and push that direction as far as we can and see what that enables. And if there's still use cases that require more of that direct overrides, then we'll explore that at that time. So there's nothing directly on the roadmap right now.
Thank
Cool.
you.
Thank you, Chad.
Hello, I'm Smooth Block Model. When I first started on Roblox, Roblox was a very big building platform, and building in-game got me very interested in being a developer later in life. So my question is, building games right now aren't very popular because there's no way for us to export those things for the user to use in their own game. Is there any plans in the future for me to be able to create a building game, say a roller coaster game, where players could then export that roller coaster model as a model and then use it in their own game?
What about create place in player inventory async?
Well, you could do that, but that's kind of hacky. There's no like simple way for a player to kind of see that, but I guess that's a workaround.
I'm kind of kidding. So we always had the vision to extend that to creating models. So, and I think that's really ultimately what people want is the creation of models rather than the creation of places. So that is definitely something we'd love to support. We don't have it on our direct roadmap now, but I think long term, we do want to encourage people on Roblox to make places that enable creation, that meta level, and that's probably the way to do it. So thank you for bringing that up.
Thank you.
Awesome, great question. All right, folks, looks like we got 2 more questions left, and we are almost right on time, so this is perfect.
Hi, I work here, but I still ask questions.
What's your username?
My name is Davidii. As we move towards more and more realistic avatars to represent who we are, is there a plan to move towards a system that's more conventional, where we have meshes being deformed by bow and armatures underneath in order to make more realistic animations?
So, short answer. This question gets asked every time. Literally every time I've been here.
And also
sometimes by the same person.
Same?
Yeah, I definitely don't ask this question.
I don't remember this.
every
I think
time.
it's the same person, actually.
Hi, Sorgus.
But actually, the short answer is this time different. The answer is yes.
Thank you.
So we are going to be looking, not in the near future, but as 2019 comes in, we are going to be looking into enabling traditional mesh deformation-based avatars.
Thank you very much.
I would qualify this by we want to enable mesh deformation, but we don't necessarily want to enable traditional workflows. We want to find the path that works best for our users and our applications. So we want to enable the use case. It's not clear that the solution is you build everything in Maya and then import it, and this is the only way how you can get deformation to work.
Great, cool.
Hi, I'm Urok101, and my question is about procedural skies. How customizable are those going to be? Are we going to be able to customize the sky color, the amount of stars, the amount of natural satellites like moons, textures? How in-depth are we planning on going with that?
So the thought is probably no texture-based customization initially, but a reasonably wide variety of colors, cloud density for each cloud layer, potentially several parameters that can allow you to more finely tune the behavior, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So some compromise between having too many settings so that it's impossible to tune and having too few so that you can achieve the look, right? Initially, we're not planning any texture-based customization. It's all procedural. Yeah. We will see how it goes.
All right. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, everyone. That concludes the engineering panel today. So a big round of applause to everyone who helped answer questions today.